got some of my brothers with me today, board of directors with Gideon's Flight. So I want to just quickly let them introduce themselves to you guys, and just got a couple of things, four things that we want to just share with you all around some of current affairs, things that are affecting us as a nation, and in many cases, even affecting us as men of color, men are what you might consider, people who are living in the urban areas, inner city areas. So with that said, again, Dale here. So next to me,
Jonathan, Vice President of Operations.
Dennis Mendez, Vice President Gideon's Flight.
Sharif Green, Vice President Urban Affairs.
All right, well, great. So, guys, here are the four topics that we want to discuss in this panel today. We're going to kind of do a rapid fire kind of deal, but there are four topics. One, the Cosby case and the conviction. Second, social services. In this case, welfare benefits that are being cut, along with also Section 8 housing, and there's some talk right now with that Section 8 housing being tripled. For the rent. And then last but not least, just some conversation around the Second Amendment and our thoughts, or the men here, our thoughts around, how we feel about that. So with that being said, on the Cosby case, I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Me personally, I think it's interesting somebody could get convicted with 30-year-old evidence. Like the way it seems unjust.
Mm-hmm. So, so how do you feel in terms of, do you feel like he was singled out, or do you just feel like it's just simply based off of statute of limitations?
Both. I mean, I think he was kind of singled out. I mean, just to get found guilty on something like he said, with 30-year-old evidence, that's crazy. There should have been a statute of limitation on that. I feel like, I think he got singled out with that one.
Yeah. Dennis?
I just feel like if he's wrong, he's wrong. He did what he did. He deserves the punishment. But are we, holding everyone accountable evenly? If he deserves to go to jail, he deserves to go to jail. But let's hold the other guy equally accountable that have had similar, situations.
Yeah. Brother Sharif?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback and kind of second what Dennis said. Like, it's wrong is wrong, right is right. But everybody should be held accountable for their actions. And he's not the only one that was brought up on charges and had these accusations and allegations about him, but he's the only one that took the fall. So, that leads to another question, is why him and not everybody else?
Yeah, and I think in fairness, for people of color, for anyone not to expect people of color to not smell a rat, in the cupboards, is not being realistic. Because if you think about it, the Me Too the hashtag Me Too movement came out of people like Harvey Weinstein and some of those guys, the Kevin Spaceys, all these guys, sexually harassing these women and creating these acts of aggression, crimes. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at, now you see someone like Cosby, going to go to jail, potentially going to serve 30 years for it. Then you ask the question, where are these other guys? Who did they pay somebody off? Is there a double standard? You know what I'm saying? Because, and this is a question that all of us, American citizens, should be asking themselves, but especially men of color, because it's not about money, because Cosby, if it's not a billionaire, close to a billionaire. You follow me? So, in terms of, status, I would think financially very strong, but yet, for whatever reason, other men who fall in that same economic category, if nothing else, right? Entertainment, I might add, as well. And you start to see where no one is even talking about these guys anymore. Weinstein, for example, he gave himself his own punishment. Think about how nice is that? He said, well, what I'm going to do is go get some training around, conduct, to help me become a better person.
Yeah, a lot of them step down from their positions, but no one's doing jail.
But no accountability, nobody going to jail, nobody indicted, nobody convicted but Cosby. So yeah, it does stink. It looks like there's a racist overture to it. Now that doesn't excuse his behavior, because at the end of the damn day, if he is guilty, then he needs to go to jail. So nobody's defending what he have been alleged to have done. But what we are saying is, what about the rest of these guys? You're just gonna just let these guys go free. So
What's some of the steps that you think he could have took to prevent this from happening?
well, that's a good question, and it'll probably take a lot longer to really share the thoughts I have around it. But I will tell you that in the community, there's a lot of conversation around the fact that, since he took the time to go out, I'll give you an example. Back in the mid 2000s, right, early 2000s, yeah, he going around doing this lecture on this lecture circuit, a lot of black colleges and other places, and he was just kind of going after people around, their conduct, black families buying sneakers, but they can't, buy books, and just crazy, just maybe not crazy stuff, but stuff that seems that should have been better off talked about, maybe in-house. You know what I'm saying? So you're out there, you're publicly criticizing, your community, or at least your extended community. And maybe we're not his community anymore since he became wealthy. I guess he didn't see that as his community. But if you feel like you have the right to have that kind of, to be lecturing, us as a community, then what's your action? What are the steps that you did to help the community? And I'm not talking about buying a few scholarships. I'm talking about looking at the prison industrial complex for an example. You follow me? Because since you said these behaviors, these nefarious behavior was leading these kids to become criminals, then did you do something about the criminal justice system that's obviously totally biased when it comes down to people of color? I mean, you can't be black Hispanic men, of age 18 and older, less than 7% of the population, but 75% of the prison system. I mean, something doesn't sound, something's a little fishy there. So what did you do in that regard to try to make sure there was a little more equity in the criminal justice system? So that's fine to criticize me, but what's your solution? You agree? And he didn't seem to care about that side of it. And now that same system that he didn't give a damn about, now that system has come back, as the old saying, the chickens have come home to roost.
Exactly. Same conduct he was, judging people on in school and on. Look what
Seemed like he wasn't living up to the damn standard. You follow me? And so just so you know, we're just honest about what we talk about. So we're not one-sided. You follow me? Are we concerned about our community? Just like anybody with any damn sense would be. Yes, we are extremely concerned about our community. And we're going to do everything in our power to enlighten and educate. But at the end of the day, you follow me? We see bias in this thing, and we're asking, where's the rest of the accountability? Fair enough, Jonathan?
Fair enough.
All right. Next thing we want to go to is the welfare being cut. So I don't know how much you guys have heard about that. And the reason I bring up welfare, because I know a lot of people say, well, they should go out and get a job and da-da-da. No, okay, if that's where you want to go with this, but the reality of it, that's not happening. And I don't suspect there's enough jobs to employ every goddamn body who's out of work any damn way.
You talk about people on welfare getting jobs. I mean, for one, people got to understand the skew of who's on welfare. There are hardworking people who may not make as much money because they have a job paying minimum wage or what have you.
Good point.
So those people are going to get condemned by what the perception of what people think is on welfare. Like, oh, these lazy bums, blah, blah, blah. Some of the people on welfare is not lazy bums.
That's right.
They just don't have a job that provides what they need to not be on welfare. Two, it's like cut welfare, okay, but you got to provide the people that you're cutting with some sort of something that's going to sustain them, like education, continuing education if they dropped out of school, whatever, or some type of job, labor skills. Like, you can't just cut welfare and then all these people who've been dependent on it for years are just assed out. Like, they
work source program or something.
You got to come up with something to alleviate the stress you're about to cause.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to create anarchy. And and for the and I got to say this again. I know I feel like I have to be the gatekeeper sometime around those who will be unjustly critical. The welfare system is not a black-owned program.
It wasn't created for
it. It was not created for that. And I will tell you that something like 65% of welfare recipients are people of not Caucasian. Let me just give it to you straight. Just for the fact, if you don't believe it, go check for yourself. So if you want to get into this black people's foolishness, then you get into whatever hell you want to get into. But society as a whole gonna feel the pain of what Brother Sharif, just said. And so unless you're gonna come up with some type of program that's gonna supplement, because here's one other thing I'll say real quick before we move on to our next subject. That is Walmart, for example. Back to talking about gainful employment. Walmart only hires part-timers for the most part. And you know what else? They give you papers when you take the job on how to apply for welfare benefits. And Walmart is the biggest employer in the world. Second biggest employer in the United States, other than I think it's General Motors. You follow me? So you're talking about, when you really start talking about, you got to look deep at that. So that cut, that's going to hurt a lot of people. That's got to be some pain. So I would tell everyone out here, if you're getting some type of welfare benefits or social service benefit, you better wake up and go call your Congress people and put some heat on them and ask them, okay, what's plan B? I hear your plan A, but you better tell me what the hell plan B is. Because if you don't tell me, it's gonna be chaos in the street. But the one thing people are not going to tolerate is not being able to feed their families. You can believe that. Okay? And then the last thing, we got a couple of minutes left. And real quick, without, Section 8 housing, I'm going to say that if you guys have been following Ben Carson, who is the director of HUD, Housing Urban Development. He was just talking the other day that they're about to triple Section 8 rent. Triple. So cutting welfare on one side, tripling the rent on the other side. That sounds like a lot of chaos about to come. So you better be prepared for that. Again, if you're Section 8 and you haven't been following up and paying attention to what's going on, it's time to wake up now. Get your head out of the clouds, or take your head out of the sand. And I was saying, wake up, smell the bacon, because it's coming. And it's coming aggressively, and it's going to come a lot quicker than you might know. So find out what's happening there. And then the last thing, is Second Amendment under attack. What do you guys feel about the Second Amendment? We got, right about 2 minutes, so 30 seconds each. So John, what's your thought about the Second Amendment? And that is the right to keep and bear arms. That's quote unquote.
It's an essential part of something that you need, because one of the reasons why it was implemented is to protect yourself from if the army comes in and try to invade your house. So it's necessary to have your Second Amendment. You should be able to protect yourself. So.
Well, Dennis, what do you think about them saying? Because I know you and I were talking earlier about the fact they're saying, well, you don't need a semi-automatic weapon. That has nothing to do with, as they say, what the Second Amendment was intended for. What's your thought about that?
My thought on it is, if the military needs it, then I need it. If I want to be able to protect, my home as well as they can. So I feel like I'm gonna own whatever's in my means to the best of my ability, and be safe with it, learn how to use it, educate my family on it. And I'm not going out there looking for trouble, but if it comes looking for me, I want to be prepared.
Good, Brother Sharif.
Yeah, I just believe everybody within the that meets the criteria or guidelines should be able to possess right to bear arms, fire. If you're not a convicted felon, and even I would say, I'm probably a little more lenient than most. I would say felon with a history of violence, like a non-violent felon, that could be a white-collar crime,
That's right.
So I would say if you just non-violent offenders, right to bear arms.
That's right.
I mean, of course, there's guidelines, and you have to, take the proper training and this, that, and the other, but it's the Constitution. We all should be able to bear the right.
Then they give, like
Sure. Bear the right.
according to the Scripture, it's a God-given right, right? That's what the preamble says. It's our God-given right as American citizens. It's one of the most patriotic things we can do is to protect those rights. So the last thing I'll say before we shut down is I want to comment real quick on they're saying, okay, well, we don't need to have semi-automatic. Well, when the Second Amendment was put in place, the citizenry had the same weapons that the military had. If it was single bolt shotguns or whatever it was they were using, they had similar weaponry. So all this stuff about you don't need this, well, you need whatever your government has. Not to go against your government, but to guide your government. Is that fair enough? To keep on the right track. right? Keep them playing by the rules, all right? And I will tell you that the Second Amendment, as far as I'm concerned, protects all of the amendments. You get rid of the Second Amendment, you don't have the others. Thanks, guys, for listening. You guys have a great day. Bye now. All right.